Okay, hi, good morning to you. While we let people jump on, let me know if my sound is good, if my picture is correct, in the correct direction and all of those things. Good morning to you. I know it's early for a lot of you guys. It's early for us too. It's early for a lot of people. So hopefully you're doing well this morning. As you guys get on, just let me know if everything is good on your end. Okay, so day 10 now with the caravan. Day 9 on the road traveling. Okay, we're trying to reconnect, so I'm going to stay put right here. Yesterday was a day of rest, so they are a little more rested. If my picture's not correct and my audio's bad, please let me know so that I don't waste anybody's time and we can restart the live. But while we got you here and people are starting to join on, the caravan is on the move once again from Mapastepec. We are going to be traveling to the next little town, which is about 5 miles, I believe. And then the goal is to go about 28 miles today. So a really long day on tap. But again, they took all of yesterday as kind of a day of rest. It was, you know, extreme heat during the day and then torrential downpours at night. So, you know, while they weren't walking, it certainly was rough conditions for thousands of people. So this morning we can also tell you that we're looking, the numbers are really fluid still this morning. We hopefully can get an update soon from the caravan leaders. But right now, last night, Ireneo Mojica said that we had about 3,000 of the migrants still with us. So a couple of things here to note. The Venezuelan family that we've been following and staying in contact with, they dropped out of the caravan 2 days ago before Mapastepec. They ended up quitting in the caravan and they said that they're going to try to stay and work in Mexico. They just don't have any other option. This was just too much for them and their kids. They took the route to say, you know what, our kids are sick, we're done. As you can see, a lot of other folks, that's not the same sentiment here. A lot of kids are sick. More than 100 kids are sick. We've got at least 1,500 kids in this caravan still. And a lot of them are sick, dehydrated, exhausted, fevers. Yesterday we saw a little girl who was visibly sick, right? She was taken to a clinic. We talked to her father. Her name was Maria. She was 8. Talked to her father late last night. He said she was getting better. So she was extremely dehydrated. She, was basically bleeding from her gums. It was just so bad. And so, we asked another mom last night. She had 4 kids with her, and we said, "Are your kids sick?" And she said, "Yes." All 4 of them were sick with fever and dehydration. And we said, "Well, was this all worth it? Is this worth it?" And she said, "Yeah, they're from Honduras. They claim they don't have another option. They said that they don't want to stay and work in Mexico. They want to go to Dallas, Texas and start a life." So that's what we're seeing is a really interesting mentality from a lot of the parents. And the other thing that we're seeing, just a lot of little kids. The other thing that we're seeing too is that a lot of them thought that they were going to kind of get help, that there was going to be an option for them not to have to walk this whole time, and they are absolutely walking. Okay, so people are saying, oh, they're walking great, some bounce in their step. Yeah, yesterday they didn't go anywhere. They spent all day in Mapastepec sitting there in the little town doing nothing. So like I said, they had a day of rest. Okay, so this situation here is not legal. This situation can get them in quite some trouble here. So, wow. So you can see they're just grabbing onto anything. This is like a couple of hills going through Madre Vieja, through a jungle, and so grabbing onto anything and everything. But what we were told is that when this happens, and if they stay on that ride and encounter police, basically it's kind of a trap. Some of them do help the women and children, and it's, the government is kind of helping in that regard, because the women and children, there's still 60 pregnant women out here. Yeah, they are absolutely breaking the rules. And, you know, I've asked a lot of them, you know, what are you doing? Do you think what you're doing is illegal? How do you feel about this situation? And a lot of them say, well, it's legally illegal. You know, we filed some paperwork. We're waiting for our paperwork in Tapachula, but they didn't let us leave. So we just left on our own. Or we're not hurting anybody. So we are, you know, legally illegal. And I'm like, no, okay, man, but I'm not going to say, I mean, it's legal is legal and illegal is illegal, right? But I'm just sharing the mentality of what they're telling me. I'm telling you their mentality and what they're telling us. And it's just wild, like that, the justification that they have. So it's really interesting. So some kind of information that we got too, that was really sad, and I posted about it. An 11-year-old Haitian migrant boy died drowning in the Suchiate River, which is the river we crossed over on those little river rafts from Guatemala to Mexico. He was not with this caravan, obviously, because he's, you know, down at the river, but we learned that as well. And one of the caravan organizers said it was the Day of the Dead for migrants. So really, you know, that's the unfortunate reality of the risk that they're taking to put themselves through this, and their kids. You know, a lot of those families that have to cross the Darien Gap and things like that have legitimate asylum claims per our country, America's laws. But a lot of these people, you guys, are economic claims. They just want to go to America to work. We literally asked someone last night. We asked some Cuban family, would they be, you know, willing to stay in Mexico? What is their plan? And so they lived in Cuba, then they moved to Brazil, and they lived in Brazil. And I said, well, why didn't you stay in Brazil? Why didn't you live and work in Brazil, right? You weren't fleeing persecution from Brazil, you were fleeing persecution from Cuba. And they said that Brazil wasn't helping them at all. And we said, so do you want the benefits of the US? And they said yes. I mean, it's like we know those things, right? But to hear them say that's what they want, that's wild. Okay, so as you can see, we've got thousands of migrants still walking. And, you know, we have been following this since the day that they left Tapachula. And I'm going to tell you, they have been walking. We have been driving ahead of them and then stopping and getting out and filming. They have not gotten any buses. We have been with them every day and every night. So that's what's going on. So yeah, we are watching this. Let me pop my camera up a little bit more so you guys can see a better view here. I flipped it around because my audio is always a lot better when my camera is facing this direction. And I think the picture is usually a little bit better too. So this is what we're dealing with right now. I will tell you, I have some good news, kind of. So I'm not wearing a mask today because A, most of them were vaccinated in Tapachula. B, one of the caravan leaders and some of the other organizers here have had my back, and they said if anybody harasses me or anybody bugs me, they're going to call officials on them and have them deported immediately, because journalists are respected right now, especially Oscar and I, because we have literally been here since the very, very beginning. We have literally been here since day one, and they see that and they respect that. So the energy has shifted, right? Like it went from everybody was encouraged to there was some volatility to now people see us and they're like, dude, you're still here, we're still here, respect. And then Luis Villagran says if anybody tries to do anything to me or say anything to me, tell them who it is and they're going to be deported. So we're a little bit safer now. The caravan leaders are sticking up for me now too, because we've been here this whole time and been respectful and been just doing our job. So rest assured, I feel safer today, which is amazing. So the hair is kind of back out and I don't have a mask on today. But again, we were, you know, taking the extra precautions because it was extremely important for us to be safe, for Oscar to be safe, and for us not to create any issues or become the news. That's not my job. So let me flip this back around while I let you guys keep watching this. Thousands and thousands of people, families. Some people have said, you know, it looks like a lot of men. There are a lot of women. It's half women and children. We're going to tell you that. That's per Luis Viagran, who is the one taking the census. So we'll get another census when we stop. He takes account whenever we stop, but we were in Mapastepec for the full day, so they were all spread out throughout the city. So that's why the numbers are kind of fluid. So again, the women and children, a lot of them are going to be in the back. And then, you know, people have been talking about child trafficking, child smuggling, things like that. That absolutely is a reality in caravans and in different situations, but I'm going to tell you right now that we have been following this caravan, and the kids and families are the same kids and families we've seen this entire time. So see, this one has a lot of women and children on it, and I don't know, that's kind of like they're kind of trying to help the women and kids because they're struggling more, but still what they're doing is not legal. So it's just a really interesting scene to see this unfold and to see what's happening here. But yeah, so continuing to watch this, I'll just kind of let this live feed play for a little bit. But we were talking about the kids smuggling and stuff like that. When I first got down here, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna expose all of this. So some of the men, like these 3 men are pushing a kid. Okay, I'm just gonna say that kid in that cart is probably one of these women that can't push that cart or carry that kid. So the young men usually jump in and help. Now what happens after this, I don't know. What happens during this, you know, I can't say definitively that's their, you know, their kid and that kid's safe. But from what I've witnessed and what I've seen and what I've talked to the men pushing strollers like this, it's because they're helping the women because the women just can't do it. And some of the men are their fathers as well. But there have been some questionable situations, and I've been documenting that too, and I'll be digging into that a little bit more as well. Buenos dias. So, you know, and a lot of people are saying, oh, you're an activist and you need to be on CNN, and oh, you have no heart and you need to be on Newsmax or the War Room, and it's, you know, that means I'm doing my job. But again, I'm always going to treat people with just a shred of decency because they're human beings that God put on this earth, and I am a Christian, and I believe that we all deserve some dignity, even if this is what we're doing. A lot of them honestly believe this is their path, and I don't agree with that, right? Most of them, if they have an economic asylum claim, if they just want to work to make money, then I even said to them, I mean, it's all relative, right? Because I stay in a hotel room here for $30 a night. But if you go to Seattle, you're going to spend $300 a night. So, you know, it's like they have this false truth that's given to them. They're being sold a bag of goods. I keep saying that, and that is the reality. So, yeah. So somebody said, get out of there, blah, blah, blah. And a lot of people have asked, what's the end game? What's the point? What's the reason you're down there? So let's just have that conversation because it's a really easy answer. I covered this from the other side, from the U.S. side. And all I could do was not judge, but all I could do was sit there and see it from the perspective of them coming into the U.S. and not understanding their process, not understanding their mentality, not understanding what their kids go through, not understanding what the local communities go through. Gosh, in Mapastepec, their whole city was shut down. They were trying to go to church. Meanwhile, they had a whole, you know, thousands of people across the street. So I wanted to understand this process. I wanted to see just how far this caravan was going to make it, just what law enforcement individuals were capable of doing or not capable of doing in these kinds of situations. And, you know, I wanted to understand just that too, what law enforcement individuals are going through on this side as well. It is different here, National Guard and things like that, like you can't record, they do not like it. They are much more private here with what they do with law enforcement, so it is very different. But that's why I'm out here. And it's so that when I continue to cover this from the U.S. side, I understand it. I can't cover this fairly and balanced if I don't understand it. And I don't think you guys can judge if you don't understand it. And it isn't our place to judge. That is God's job and only God's job. And, you know, the judge and the jury, and we are not that. We are not the judge, jury, and executioner. That is not us. And that is certainly not me, and it's never going to be me. I have met some beautiful kids, some lovely children. It's awful because the kids didn't ask for this. They didn't sign up for this. If you want to be mad, you can be mad at the parents who honestly think that this is the way to a better life. If they're not fleeing persecution, those are the ones that can be frustrating, right? Because you just want to go make more money and you're willing to put your kids through this just to feed them. And it's just kind of ironic. It's wild, the sicknesses these kids are going through. So yeah, we are out here. I believe I am the only American journalist out here still, and I am certainly the only woman with boots on the ground. You know, we were going to leave because it got volatile and it got a little bit unsafe, but then we were reassured that we would kind of be kept a little safer because, again, this coverage is necessary, and the caravan leaders also know that. If there is no American journalism here, they're not going to get a lot of coverage and a lot of support that they're looking for. What's really interesting too is we talked to Irineo Mojica, who is one of the caravan organizers and leaders, one of the really outspoken activists. And about day 2, I asked him if he'd talked to any of the governments involved in this situation. You know, any of the 20 countries represented here, or the U.S., which is where most of them are wanting to go. And he said, you know, no one's talked to me. I'd love to talk to the Biden administration. I'd love to. And what's wild is then just the other day, I asked him the same question. And his tune changed a little bit. He said, oh, well, you know, we're not trying to go to America, so it's okay, we don't need to talk to Biden. So it's interesting, kind of the game that's being played, and, you know, they know how to do it. They know what they're doing. So I'm keeping my eyes open, keeping my ears open. I know what's going on out here. They're claiming they want to go to Mexico City, right? They turned down, though, basically the opportunity to stay in Mexico and work, because not all of them were willing to do that. Now, INAMI, which is the immigration officials here, like our Border Patrol, they were basically telling them, come on, get on the bus, we'll take you and we'll let you work. And there's a lot of trust issues with their border protection people here, like as you might imagine. And so they didn't want to do that. So they did turn down the opportunity to stay and work here in Mexico already. And they're allegedly going to Mexico City to get paperwork to stay and work in Mexico. So it's really interesting. And obviously, they have other intentions. 90% of the ones I've talked to say that their intention is to go to America. And I've asked them, are you willing to stay and work in Mexico? 3 people that I've talked to have said yes now. The 90% say no. They're not willing to. So if you guys have any questions, anything like that, I'll do my best to answer. Please don't be, I'm really tired, so please don't be a jerk today. Please just keep your rude comments to yourself. All the send them back. Those comments, like, come on, you've been saying it for 10 days now. Like, I'm not going to send them back. And I'm also not going to tell them, hey, guess what? We have told them. What you're doing is illegal. Our border is closed. Kamala Harris and President Biden have both said don't come. The borders are closed. We have told them they'll meet with the cartel. We have told them what they will face. But at this juncture, I am not going to do that, because I am not going to start a riot or inciting fear or creating problems for Oscar and I. We have asked those questions and we have told them that. So we are not aiding and abetting. We are not giving them a blueprint on how to get, see people run over here, use the restroom, how to get into the U.S. A lot of people asked why we didn't help and give that little girl water yesterday. Okay, the other thing that people don't realize is if we give them water and we go and help these people and law enforcement sees that, we can get in a lot of trouble, because it can be looked at as we are aiding and abetting these this illegal process that are trying to get to the next checkpoint, and it can be looked at as we are helping them and keeping them safe and all of those things. So our hands are tied. I put my fan on her for a second, and that's about all I could do. And that's a tough one. So again, we've got, you know, thousands and thousands of people still walking this morning. We've got the some people found some fruit that they, I mean, like people are like, how are they eating? How are they drinking? They don't have anything. And I asked them, you know, did you guys honestly think that this was going to be this hard? And they said no. They honestly thought they were going to get help. One gentleman from Nigeria said that he still has hope and expects the U.S. and Mexican government to come together and basically provide some kind of transportation. Buenos días. ¿Qué esta?
Mangoes.
Mangoes. Oh, bueno. Okay. Enjoy. Adios. Wow. So they found some mangoes, clearly not ripe, but they're going to do whatever they can to have some food. They honestly don't have food. Some of the municipal cities that we've stopped at have provided some food, some municipal governments, but in Mapastepec, apparently the locals there are so fed up with this kind of situation happening, they did not want to enable it. They didn't want to help. They didn't want to provide anything, and so they didn't have food. One of the gentlemen that we talked to hadn't eaten for 2 days. So they do have some clothing and things like that are provided through NGOs, which is non-governmental organizations like the Catholic Charities. We know that is an organization that assists these migrants. And so they get some, clean clothing, things like that. And then when we get those torrential downpours, we literally see them washing their clothes, like kind of bathing, getting as clean as they possibly can. But I can assure you, as someone who has been here with them since last Saturday now, or last Friday is when we got here and was the visual. They have not had a viable shower, clothing wash, things like that. They have not. And this morning, if I could translate smell through the phone, I would have loved to for you guys so I could prove it. But having a mask on helped in that situation. I'll just put it that way. Having the mask on was a good thing this morning because they need showers. And I'm not trying to drum up empathy. I'm just breaking down the reality because you guys have all asked those questions. Another question that has been asked a lot is how they're charging their phones. Now we know that some phones were stolen yesterday from the caravan that were being charged. So when they get to these municipal cities, just like in the States, there will be like electrical ports and outlets and things like that on the, poles and different things. And so they'll find one of those and they have what are those strips called? It's escaping me. I'm a little bit tired. But they'll have one of those strips that has multiple outlets on it. They'll plug that in. They'll get people's phones from the caravan. They charge them 10 pesos an hour, which is 50 cents American. So commerce always finds a way. They always find a way to charge their cell phones. We were driving by local businesses in Mapastepec, and some of them were charging phones in local businesses. They find a way. While we are in Mexico, we aren't living under a rock. They are still going through areas where there is, where there are some resources. So, surge protector. Thank you, Diana. A surge protector. They'll have those with them, and they've taken those with them all the way from Tapachula. We've even seen people carrying around those old cigarette boxes, that they used to carry around in the bars and stuff like that in the 40s and in the 20s. And they have chips in them, and they're selling chips to people in the caravan that they buy in the city or whatever with the money that they have, and then they try to sell it to the migrants walking. It's wild. Okay, so the gang members in the caravan still have not been apprehended. We believe that there are still what Carlos is saying, who's a reporter down in Tapachula who is getting this information. He's saying there are probably between 7 and 14 MS-13 gang members in this caravan somewhere. And so there is that reality as well. We will continue to keep an eye on that. I have been giving all of that information to law enforcement individuals in the U.S. as well. I have been in very close contact with our sheriff friends in Valverde County and Brooks County and things like that. So we have been making sure that you guys are all aware of what's going on. They have all been watching. They're probably watching right now. Good morning to you. Just to make sure that, they are in the loop of what's going on because no one's down here. So Deborah says, so a lot of them are thieves. No, not necessarily. Can't speculate that. When I say 7 to 14 gang members, there are more than 3,000 people. So saying a lot of them are thieves, can't say that. A lot of them are kids, you can say that. But I've met a lot of really beautiful little kids, and it's been heartbreaking and awful for me because I don't have kids of my own, and it's really hard to see them go through this. It's really hard to see how some of them are treated, and it's culturally so different too. We see how they're picked up by the arm and things like that. Like, while we don't do that to the kids in the States, that is apparently a cultural thing for Latin American countries. And I mean, that's up to CPS if they get into the US and they're doing that, right? I can't judge. I don't know. But we are seeing that. And again, it's hard to see these kids sick. It's hard to see them going through this. And it's hard to see them just still with a smile on their faces. And we did an interview yesterday with this woman who wants to go to Dallas, Texas, who was telling us about the vaccines. And her little girl, I believe she was 7, just came up and she was standing right next to me because she wanted to watch what I was doing. And then she just put her arms around me, around my legs, and was hugging me the whole time. And I just rubbed her back and just told her she was beautiful. And it's hard. It sucks. Kids didn't ask for this. It's not fair. But again, they honestly, were under the guise that this was going to be easier. It's not easy walking to Mexico City. It's 700 miles from Tapachula. So they honestly thought, oh, the buses are going to come. Because that happened in the past. It happened in other caravans. So, Dustin, lady, give me a break. Get off my page. Go. If I could block you, I don't know. Can I block people while you're talking? Block. Bye, Dustin. I'm not even dealing with you guys anymore. If you say crap like that, you're out. I've been out here for 10 days on you guys, thank you for anybody who's donated to my livelihood and my future endeavors. But I can't even tell you how much money I've spent on this trip. So those comments, go away. Okay. They're still hoofing it. Okay. Yeah, it's definitely not the kids' fault. And I'm always going to have sympathy for kids. Always, always. Parents, I am going to be frustrated with. I ask them, is this worth it? Is it worth this? No, it's not normal. This is not normal, and this is not the way to migrate. This is not safe. It's not healthy. It's not good for the kids. We know that they're sick. We know that more than 100 kids were sick yesterday. Luis Villagran transported several kids to the hospital. At one point, he had 18 kids in the car with him, with parents. Mothers were in the car as well. And they were in the car with him as well. And he was transporting back and forth kids to the hospital. And it was really, really hard, to see. Hey, thank you guys so much for the support. I appreciate you guys. You're awesome. So are there things they can harvest off the land to eat for energy? I don't know. Like we just saw that gentleman grab those mangoes. Yes, block. Okay, I didn't know I could block people as they're talking, which is fantastic. So if someone comments something stupid, I'm just going to block you right away. I used to go back in and then find the comment and block them, but now if you say something stupid, you're going to get immediately just cut from my page. I'm not even going to play. So just because I don't have the capacity to deal with you guys. Or not you guys, but like Shelly said, I don't need haters. Yeah, we don't need that. We don't need that crap. And you guys don't need to see that crap either. We're all watching this unfold together. This is history, right? This is what is a very real situation for people that are walking in this, and for people in the U.S. And it's rightfully something of concern after what happened in Del Rio. So we're down here documenting what's happening. So really, really important. But yeah, we are all God's children indeed. Like this little girl. And that's the same gentleman she's been with the whole time. I've been keeping an eye. I'm very aware. Very aware. That's the little girl that I talked to. Let me see. I want to go say hi to her. Hola, hermosa. ¿Cómo está? Bonita. ¿Cansada? Sí. Sí. ¿Comida? Tengo hambre? Did you get food? So this is the little girl that I was telling you about. Can you say hi? And this is her brother. Are you 7 años? Tengo 7 años. Okay. 9 años. Oh, okay. ¿Cómo se llama? And ¿cómo se llama again?
Stephanie.
Stephanie? Beautiful, bonita. And this is her family, and you guys are from Honduras. See? Good to see you this morning, bonita. So we're gonna let them go back with their family. I'm gonna go video some more, okay? So that is a little girl that I was telling you guys about. Her name is Stephanie. She's 7. Her brother is 9. And they're the ones that want to go to Dallas. And again, they don't have a viable economic or a viable claim because they are seeking economic asylum, basically. And it's heartbreaking because those kids are going through this and those parents are allowing them to go through this. And we asked that mom, is this worth it? Is this worth it? And she said, yes, this is their only option because they were treated poorly in Honduras. They chose to do this, right? They chose to leave Tapachula. They were in Tapachula in shelters, basically, but it was what they call the prisoner of migrants, a prison of migrants, because they were kept there. They could not leave. So that's why this migrant caravan formed. Why it started was because they were literally stuck there. So they said, we're going to go. We're just going to go. So they did choose to do this. They did. They could have waited longer for asylum papers in Tapachula. So that is legitimately the truth. The parents are choosing to do this right now. For sure. They could have stayed in Tapachula. Just so everybody is aware, and just so the administration knows, they did not have to make this trek. Okay, so let's see. I have a question. Have the number of people in the caravan dwindled? Okay, so in the beginning, we left Tapachula and it was smaller, got bigger, got up to like 6,000, remember? Then some people got pulled from immigration, pulled back. So then we lost a couple hundred, but then we gained some along the way. People joined in on the caravan. And now after a couple days of walking in the rain and really, really, really bad conditions, we have dwindled. I would say we're around 4,000, maybe. Don't quote me on that. We're going to try to get an updated number when we stop. But it has dwindled a little bit. It has not grown over the last couple of days. Now, it could very well grow more as we keep going because we are still progressing to the Mexico City area as well. And the reason why I went over and said hi to that little girl, not just because I recognized her, but because she literally was standing across the street waving at me, and then she put her arms out and started running at me, and there was traffic. So I stopped her and went and saw her. So that's what was going on. I wasn't trying to do anything for the cameras or trying to do anything. There was a little girl running at me across the street, so I went and hugged her. So that's what happened. But her name is Stephanie, and I have a photo with her from last night. I'll post later. But she wants to learn English. She was watching my video, and she's just, Inglés. And she just asked me if I was from America. And again, it just sucks, man, to see, because they're probably going to just get sent right back and have gone through this for nothing. And because Title 42 is active in the U.S., but we know a lot of people are getting in. That's the other reality of it, right? But then there are people like the Venezuelan family that quit the caravan that have a legitimate asylum claim. So it's really frustrating that all this is happening, and it's such a broken system. It is. Even our DHS Secretary, Alejandro Mayorkas, has admitted that. Our immigration system is broken. These people are incentivized to come to the U.S. They want the American dream. Literally, people said that they want the benefits of the U.S. Like they want to be cared for, because they weren't cared for in Cuba or in Brazil. So that's a very real reality. People are asking where we're at right now. We are in the jungle walking while we're standing. But they just cleared a couple of hills. It was like this coming up here. So they're going to be really tired. I'm sure they're going to be resting on the other side of this. We are just outside of Mapastepec in Chiapas still. We have not cleared the state of Chiapas. We haven't even made it through one state. So they're moving very slowly, you know, roughly 10 miles a day. And this is why they're moving slowly. I mean, look, this is the back of the caravan here. You can see people limping. They have wounds. A lot of them, when we stop, they get medic help. Like their feet have, you know, wounds on them, blisters, things like that. So they get tended to from organizations that jump in and help. I do not know anything about them assigning states to migrants, but I will look into it a little bit more. I have, where are we now in Mexico? We are still in the southernmost state in Mexico, so we have not made it very far. I do think people see the comments when you share the feed. I'm not sure. But I will try to figure out more about what's going on the U.S. side. Here's the thing. I know there are reporters covering this from the U.S. side. I know that you guys have boots on the ground there, and I know that there are local journalists in Texas doing a great job as well. So I'm not even going to lie, I have dropped the ball a little bit on reporting from what's happening on the U.S. border side because A, my service is very in and out here, and B, I am in the thick of a caravan, so I've been very inundated with this kind of information. Every minute I am reporting on something from here, so it's hard for me to do research on what's happening in the U.S. as well, but I will do my very best to kind of get some updates on what's going on there as well. So I think we're going to probably start. So National Guard here and the municipal police are, and there's Oscar Blue. And the caravan just cleared out. National Guard is ending it there. So here's what we're going to do. Biden told them to come, bottom line. Okay, so Biden did campaign on an open border policy. We know that in one of the debates. That was very much something that he talked about. A lot of the people that we've talked to say now is the time to come because of the Biden administration. A lot of them were carrying signs that say Joe Biden is for all. We have one guy pleading literally directly to Joe Biden. So there is truth to some of them coming because of the Biden administration and the policies under that administration. Now, yesterday when I talked to the family from Cuba, I did ask them specifically, would they have done this journey under the Trump administration, or are they doing it because of the Biden administration? And they said it wouldn't have mattered. They would have done it no matter what. So that is the first family that has said that to me. Everyone else has said it's because they really, truly believe that Joe Biden, our president, is going to open the door for them to come in. And they are thinking that while we've even said the borders are closed, though, and they said yes, but we think that he'll change his mind. We think that he'll honor his promise and give us asylum. So when someone says Joe Biden told them to come, there is some truth to that. They believe that. So I have also been reporting that. And what's really hard is I can't report every single fact that I know and that I learn in every single live feed. So if you guys are going to make really pointed statements like that, like get real, that kind of stuff, please watch my other live feeds. Now, if you have a question and you want to say, hey, have you heard Biden told them to come? I will respond to you with respect, but please respect me as well because I have covered that. I have covered every aspect of this. Yeah? Okay, so we are going to end the live feed now because the caravan has left the building. We're going to hop back in the car and we're going to go get ahead of them, and we will continue our coverage, continue updating you with any information that we know and any information that we have. And I appreciate you. And Oscar Blue, say hey.
How you doing, everybody? 10 days.
10 days. Diaz. Woo! Okay, guys. We'll see you in a little bit. Thanks so much for your support. I appreciate you.